I'm going to show you how to update a vintage bike from an old style quill stem to a threadless stem. The advantages of a threadless stem is they come in a variety of lengths and angles, and they're very easy to replace, and that allows you to adjust the fit of the bike by moving the handlebars forward and back, up and down, simply by replacing the stem. And replacing an old style quill stem is just not that easy, because you have to remove the handlebar tape and the shifters and slide it off and slide the new one on, and you can't easily play with the fit of the bike as easily as with a threadless stem. What you're going to need is a threadless stem adapter. This is a 1" to 1 1/8 inch threadless stem adapter by Profile Design. There's some other companies that make these, but the one that you're most likely going to need is a 1" to 1 1/8 inch threadless stem adapter. They come in some other sizes, but this is the one that you're going to probably need, is a 1" to 1 1/8 inch. Be very careful when you're buying them, that make sure that you know what you're getting, because they make 1 1/8 inch to 1 1/8 inch, and those aren't going to work on most bikes. So you want 1" to 1 1/8 inch threadless stem adapter. Start off with, I need to remove the old stem, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the handlebars from these. There's like a 6mm bolt under there. I'm going to loosen that and actually totally remove it. Okay, so I got that out. Okay, now my options to get the handlebars out of the stem are to unwrap them and take the shifters off and slide it out, but I don't want to do that. I've got these all wrapped nicely, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and cut most of the way through this stem here. I'm just going to go ahead and sacrifice this stem, and because I'm not planning on reusing, so I got like a Dremel cut-off tool, and I'm just going to very carefully cut through this, but not cut all the way down to the handlebar, just most of the way. Now using like just a large screwdriver, I'm gonna get this in and wedge this apart and hopefully get this thing to break. There. Then just go ahead and remove the remains of the old stem. It's a 6mm bolt here, and just slide that right out of there. Then while I got that open, I'm gonna go ahead and just clean out in there a little bit. I got like a rag, some paint thinner. Just get that on there a little bit. And just clean out in there, just clean out some of the old dirt and gunk out of there. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I want to put a thin coating of grease down in there between the stem and the fork tube. The fork tube is chromoly steel and this is aluminum, and if they're in contact for a long time, you're going to get what's called galvanic corrosion, and this is basically just going to weld itself to the steel, or this will oxidize and basically fill in. This will just get stuck in there, so you don't want that. So what I'm going to do is just put a thin coating of grease down in there, and then just rub a little bit of grease. It's just a thin coating, you don't need a whole lot, just on the stem there. Okay, and now with the new stem that I'm going to be installing, I want to go ahead and slide that onto the adapter first. It slides right up there, and then I'm going to go ahead and just slide this down into the fork tube like that. Then, like a regular quill stem, I'll just go ahead and tighten this top bolt just like that. Then I'm going to go ahead and remove these bolts on the front of this stem. Get the handlebars situated to where they're going to be. Put the little front plate on, and make it so that the logo is facing upright. Not important, but cosmetic. And then tighten these bolts. Now go ahead, get the handlebars straight with the wheel, and then these little side bolts on the stem itself, I'll go ahead and tighten those, and those are clamped down to the threadless stem adapter. And there it is, all finished. A threadless stem and stem adapter on a vintage bike. I think it definitely helps to update the overall look of the bike, make it look a little more current. It definitely helps to make the bike more adaptable for a future user. They can simply replace the stem to adjust the fitting of the bike. And it's not that hard to do and doesn't really cost a whole lot of money to do it. And anyway, that's how you install a threadless stem and stem adapter on a vintage bike. I hope that helps.